Welcome back, everyone, to Vox Markets Live. My name is Paul Hill, and I'm delighted today to be able to speak to Exec Chairman Patrick DeSouza of Water Intelligence and CEO Will Knell of American Leak Detection, a one-stop shop for all things leak detection, repair, and preventative maintenance. So welcome, gents.
Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah, well, big congrats on this morning's inline year-end trading update with sales rising 10% to $83.3 million. But before we sort of run through those details, Patrick, I don't suppose you could just provide investors with a quick overview of the business and sort of the secular drivers helping grow in the business.
No, thank you, Paul. And, before I do that, let me introduce to the entire audience, if they haven't met already, Will Knell, the CEO of American Leak Detection. So we announced his appointment in December, I believe, and it is really exciting to work with Will for many different levels that actually feed into the execution and making that vision that we're going to talk about a reality. And so, just a quick few headlines about Will, because you'll be too modest to say so. Will actually operated the largest franchise in American leak detection, Dallas, Texas. In addition, he's been awarded everything in the entire system from Franchisee of the Year, President of the Advisory Council for the franchisees. So in terms of the respect from our institution, from the ground up all across the U.S., Will has them. And, for us, when we talk about where the company is going, you'll see it's marrying up an army of skilled technicians with a variety of technologies taking advantage of a transformational moment. And to have Will's hand on the steering wheel as we do that, that really will, I'm sure, give everyone on this audience a lot more confidence that, vision does get translated into reality. So, Paul, thank you for the opportunity. And Will, hopefully that's just the beginning of an introduction. And then as we proceed in this little interview, we can fill in a lot of the gaps.
Yeah. Good. So, Patrick, just in terms of exactly what the company does and its sort of quick overview of how it sort of like fills in the gaps.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, the value proposition of water intelligence, and that is, writ large, is that we use technology to pinpoint water leaks and repair water leaks. Now, that can be for any size pipe. So, for example, in the U.S., American Leak Detection, the core business, really is geared towards residential small pipes, commercial larger pipes, and under Will's leadership is introducing solutions for big pipes, municipal. On the flip side, Water Intelligence International, which is based in the UK, started by focusing on large pipes, municipal, developed some technology with Thames Water, Scottish Water, a variety of our clients out there. And now what we're doing is transferring that technology to the US as a suite. So every size pipe, small, medium, large, clean water, dirty water. So in a way, what we're doing is addressing aging water infrastructure across the board.
And just Will, just moving on to sort of the sort of secular growth drivers, can you just talk us through sort of like, how the company is sort of impacted by sort of like climate change and say aging infrastructure and, those type of big picture macro events?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely, Paul. No, it's very interesting. Our industry is changing dramatically. And a lot of the reason for that change is just the focus on the value of water. That, like Pat was saying, that's really the root of where we come from, and the driver of our success is the preservation of water and the non-invasive leak detection methods in order to prevent or mitigate catastrophic loss as a result of a water leak. That really drives at the root of what we do. But the industry is changing because of so much that has to do with climate change results in really catastrophic, unexpected losses for the insurance industry, whether that be hurricanes, unexpected freeze events, and that sort of thing. Traditionally, we always looked at that as an opportunity. When we have unexpected weather events, a lot of times that causes a lot of the leaks that we find. But what we've noticed within the insurance industry, they are looking at those catastrophic losses as losses that they have a hard time can't predict when they're going to happen. They're going to happen. There's nothing they can do to control those events. So they're turning to events like water losses on homes and businesses as opportunities to mitigate those losses. And they are able to mitigate those losses through preventative maintenance. And it's something that we noticed the industry changing, mid last year. And we really started to take an aggressive approach as to how we're going to utilize that opportunity within American Leak Detection and truly leverage our ability to partner with these different insurance carriers to help them mitigate those losses with a preventative maintenance strategy.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, if anybody would like to ask any questions, please put them into the chat box, and I'll ask them. Yes, Patrick?
Yeah, so Paul, before we start addressing Q&A, I would like to build on what Will is saying, because there's an important aspect that ties to our results and where we're headed with this announcement about the StreamLabs transaction. So what Will has highlighted is the secular trend towards preventive maintenance, especially from the business-to-business channels, such as the insurance companies, property management. So let me build a little bit on that by just saying, when we first came to market in the UK, we had in all the chairman's statements, we aspire to be a one-stop shop, a platform company. And why was that? Because we said that because the greatest strategic differentiator of American Leak Detection, our core business, is that we're in 46 states of the US. We're in 150 locations. We actually touch over 200,000 homes. And so over the years, that is really a distribution channel, not just simply our touch points with all over the US. So really, as we've developed the business model, it's the idea of servicing the customer end to end, from the very first thing they need all the way over to aftercare. So that ties beautifully to this moment that Will is underscoring for the insurance companies. Because really, for big insurance companies, they really need a partner like us, where we're in across the US, and they don't have to find the local person. They know quality is the same, the brand differentiator is the same. And so really, for the shareholders over the last 5 years, we've begun to sign up national accounts, all the big insurance companies. So in today's release, we highlight that we represent over the 20 biggest insurance companies. So where that begins to tie together is that the strategic deal with StreamLabs allows us to develop a water monitoring, shut-off devices, and the ability of aftercare through the highest quality product that we find in the marketplace. And so this is a company that is already tied in with the insurance companies. They have a solution that really grafts nicely onto our backbone. And then for all the other shareholders, just think about the following. What we've done is we've exploited our national footprint. Over the last couple of years, we've made investments in Salesforce so we can automate data flowing from devices like StreamLabs to all of our technicians to solve the customer problem, all in a secure environment. And then finally, even investments like Scene, video commerce. Now we can begin to sell StreamLabs devices, aftercare services. So it really becomes a seamless opportunity and a true one-stop shop. So that evolution between what we came to the market with the idea of being, what Will is underscoring as the secular trend and the opportunistic moment, and now the variety of investments we've made all really feed together. And then the whole wrapper around that is the execution that Will lead.
Yeah.
So to that way, for all of our shareholders and anybody on this video, the nice package that we're going to be talking today through any question that you might have is that we are a true platform company lined up with leading insurers all across the US. And that is a very scalable model.
Yeah, actually, that dovetails perfectly into a question from Tony. He's asking about that StreamLabs partnership in terms of sort of giving the group extra sort of like USPs and also the timescales of implementations. Probably best, I guess, you want to handle this one, Will? Would it be a good one to go through?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So if I understand the question correctly,
it's USPs, basically what extra USPs and the sort of timescales for implementation.
Yeah. So right now we're actually running, we have a partnership with StreamLabs. We're running a pilot program to perform installs for them of these water monitoring devices. And we're also, looking at options to sell those devices organically. We've had a lot of demand over really the last 2 to 3 years from different insurance partners that we already have, some of those top 20 insurance carriers in the US, that are looking to us for our expertise and advice on water monitoring devices that we feel are successful and that they can utilize to try to mitigate that water loss. We actually set up a multitude of devices at our facility in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where we do a lot of testing and training of different technology and equipment that's coming on the market that can be helpful in our industry. And through testing some of those devices, the conclusion that we've come up with is that the StreamLabs device has the best components, internal components, and the technology is far superior than many other devices that we've looked at. And so that's why we ultimately decided to team up with them, and we're going to take those same recommendations to other carriers that we already work with as an opportunity to install those devices on the homes that they insure to mitigate that loss.
Good. Okay. Another question we got from David. He's asking about we've got a big problem in the UK with in terms of the sort of like stormwater sewage pollution into the rivers and seas and stuff. So Patrick, in terms of how potentially that water intelligence can help that particular problem.
Well, one of the things I'd like to underscore is that we like to think ahead in terms of where should we place our investment dollars internally to develop products that we anticipate a need, or we've been told with our customers, we would really like to address this problem. So coming back to one of the points I made earlier about how we've developed solutions in the UK for the municipal business that Will is going to take all across the US. One was a device called Pulse. So what Pulse does, it has a sound wave like sonar. And what it does is detects blockages. So clean water, not so much, but wastewater blockages are important in the UK. So often enough, these solutions really run alongside each other. Pipes are pipes. So to the extent that we have some solutions that deal with wastewater, stormwater runoff, these are technologies that really apply to our full suite of solutions. And so again, like I say, if you look on our website and you look at the things we've talked about previously, we've made investments ahead of the cycle in terms of devices and technologies with minimal invasion can deal with problems, whether clean water or dirty water.
Yeah, the UK's experienced those issues with stormwater, fatbergs, drain and waste systems for some time. And we've been very successful working with Thames Water in helping in those situations. And we're now seeing those same opportunities in the US as well. So we're looking to bring that technology over to the US and start to do that same infrastructure assessment. It's a totally different, segment of our business. We're dealing with now wastewater, stormwater runoff, as opposed to supply lines, which is the StreamLabs technology addresses supply lines. But all the while, it fits into our theme of non-invasive, detection and analysis of infrastructure in order to take a preventative maintenance approach to mitigate the loss, whether that's, a drain and waste system, for a municipality that has sewer billowing out of the streets. That has we have to mitigate that loss. We're all interested in that, right? But the same applies to destruction of water when a water leak occurs in someone's home. We're just really looking at how can we lead the industry with an innovative approach to mitigate losses from water, basically.
Good.
And Paul, I was going to say many times, just underscoring what Will said, really we're participating in a revolution. Aging infrastructure is everywhere. Round one, I would say 20 years ago, the insurance industry led a revolution in terms of healthcare, from precision, arthroscopic surgery now to preventive healthcare, right? In the same way, and it's all about risk. In the same way, what's happened is we began our business really pioneering minimally invasive solutions, the precision medicine, if you will. Now, as Will has said previously, What we're doing is taking part in an industry revolution in terms of water infrastructure, in this case, towards preventive maintenance. So all the technologies that we deploy, clean water and dirty water, really go to that notion of attack the problem in a minimally invasive way before it happens and before destruction, as Will was saying, sewage coming out of the streets. So to the extent that we're well positioned and a scalable platform, those two things align well with execution.
Yeah, I'll definitely need that pulse application next to where I live, because unfortunately when I get a lot of stormwater comes straight out of the flipping drains, it's terrible. Anyway,
Paul, we will send a truck out right away.
Okay, thanks. We've got a question from Peter. We had a couple of acquisitions in the announcements. We had one franchisee and a plumbing business as well. Don't know, Patrick, you could take us through the sort of the strategic logic of your M&A strategy.
Well, let me frame it in two ways. And then really, Will has been really intimately involved in actually the formation of our capital allocation strategy. So let me start with that, and then that'll lead nicely into both of these acquisitions. So if you remember in the chairman's statement for our audit last year, we laid out our capital allocation strategy. So there are 4 levels to this strategy. Level 1 is invest for organic growth of our base business. Okay. Level 2 is invest for organic growth of new technologies coming along that we think just are additive to our base business. Number 3 is acquisitions, both franchise and third party, that allow us to really execute a plan and really seamlessly integrate all these offerings. Okay, so they're very synergistic with each other. So if you look at last year, I'll give you 2 examples from last year that really are exactly the extension for this year that Will has been really pushing along. Okay, so last year, if you noticed, we reacquired some franchises, including Dallas, where Will was the franchise owner. On the other hand, what did we gain by that? We're going to make Dallas and a corporate location, Fort Worth, the headquarters of American League. We have now a leader in place that knows the entire business. So the idea of some of these franchise acquisitions is not just the P&L, but really the operational excellence across the entire country. Okay. Another acquisition we did was a third-party one last year, buying an Irish plumbing company. So now we're working with Irish Water and the plumbing company to, again, roll out all these solutions. So again, extending that model to this year, what did we do? A plumbing company, Effective Plumbing, and another franchise, this one in South Carolina, Georgia. So let me turn it over to Will, because both really tie together, even with the StreamLabs partnership that we just announced. So please, Will.
Absolutely. It just helps to improve our distribution network, like Pat was referring to earlier. A critical key component of what we do is being able to apply our technologies, across the entire U.S., across the entire world. We were very successful in our first, 40 years or so by franchising and getting those offices out there, putting forth a consistent message, a consistent methodology of non-invasive leak detection and leak repair. As we have grown and we infiltrated the market with those franchise stores, we started to reacquire those, and what that did was it gave a lot of the former franchise owners an opportunity for liquidity, but it also gave us an opportunity to really try to take that location to the next level, because we can put in policies and procedures, and a lot of what we're doing is mirroring what I did in Dallas, some of the drivers of my success over the last 20 years, and implementing those procedures and policies and systems that I kind of tried and tested and proved to be successful in the local corporate stores. We've already seen very positive results in a couple of stores that we've been working on. We only really have January to go off of. We should have February here in a few days, but the results have been very positive. And so we're looking at any of those additional acquisitions to really help us put forth these StreamLab installations, working with our insurance partners, and just getting that innovative technology and that non-invasive approach, having that distribution network out there to where we can literally service every home in the U.S. That's ultimately the goal. As far as the plumbing company acquisitions, like we did with Effective Plumbing, or like we did in Ireland, those are unique opportunities to work with well-respected pillars of the community in that local area. These are plumbing companies that have been around for a long time. We vet them, and we realize that we can bring them on and teach them the ways of the non-invasive leak detection approach of American leak detection with, individuals who are already at those companies who are very successful plumbers. They've been out there working on plumbing systems for decades, some of them generations. And now we can bring in this innovative technology that, coupled with their plumbing skills that they've really honed in to turn it into a really successful operation. We already did an acquisition in Connecticut with Shanahan Plumbing. It has proven to be exceptionally successful, and Effective is just another company that's there in that same area, who has worked with Shanahan Plumbing for many years, and we're just adding another layer in to put some more boots on the ground. Is really the essential component there.
And Paul, may I just add to that? In a way, if what Will is painting a picture of are two different types of scalability. Mm-hmm. First, if you notice in the very beginning, we talked about handling any size pipe, small, medium, large, clean water, dirty water, and exploiting our national channels. That's horizontal approach to market capture. Now, what Will has really described now is taking our leak detection and even the water monitoring device of StreamLabs and begin to vertically integrate with plumbing companies on the repair side. So in a way, what we're doing is really capturing the market at two different levels: all size pipe, but also vertical integration of handling for the customer, the end user, all sorts of problems, meaning not just the monitoring, not just the minimally invasive leak detection, but now the repair. That is really a platform company.
Yeah. We've got just a follow-up question from John on that. How long does it take to integrate the acquisitions? And once you've done it, so how important is the scale against your competitors in terms of being able to give the national coverage?
Well, let me start off by saying it'll be a lot faster now that we have Will as running American leak detection. That's for sure. But I say that half joking, but realistically, having a professional that has built the largest franchise in our system, and coming back to what I said earlier, has the respect of all the franchisees, those are kinds of things that really go to integration. Because now some of the owners that want, as Will was saying, may want liquidity, may want to stay on, largely because Will is leading the ship, right? So to the extent that, execution and integration and all these issues, really M&A is the toughest part. For any company, M&A integration is always a source of pitfalls. On the other hand, if you're building internally with a leader that knows the business, it really does minimize the risk and accelerates the integration pace. Will, with that, let me just let any types of discussion you want to take that to.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like sometimes a daunting task, but it's actually far simpler than some may think. It is a relatively systematic approach, and once we, have those foundational elements in place, incorporating those into another location is actually simpler, even simpler than what I thought going into it. So it is exciting, but we have a unique business that is not overly complicated. We've been doing this. I've been doing this for 35 years. A lot of the franchisees, even that we reacquire, have been in the system for decades. They know the business forwards and backwards. It's more a matter of going in and just putting in a few key elements, a few key processes, and giving them that leadership and someone that they can rely on to help guide them and resolve issues as they come up. And before you know it, everything is just plugging along really nicely. No different than the plumbing company acquisitions. One of the easiest technicians I've ever had to train is a former plumber, because they have that inherent knowledge of everything that's going on, and we're bringing them solutions they never thought possible in their industry, and so we're just making their job 10 times easier. And they thrive off of it. So those are some of the easiest ones, because they just embracing what we're doing, because you're like you're bringing a little kid a brand new toy. and they're super excited about it. So it's really good.
Good. Okay, well let's just pivot to the numbers. I don't suppose you could just provide a bit of sort of top level coverage on the or color on the financials, can you, Patrick?
Sure, and I'm sure for our viewers, since the numbers are out in the market, very accessible. But let me underscore a few points, right, that dovetail into the strategy that we just discussed. So if you look at it, top line growth was 10%. Okay, now under Will's leadership, they're going to be a zillion percent. So that's
no pressure there, Will.
Underscore number one, right? Underscore number two is that EBITDA adjusted grew by 12%, so to 15 million. So if you really look at it in terms of our balance sheet and our income statement, two things should strike everyone. First, we are growing. We'll grow faster. Second is, especially with the StreamLabs partnership, right? Let me underscore that part. But separate, we have cash on the balance sheet. We reported 12 million of cash at year end. We actually generate cash. The EBITDA adjusted number is 15 million. And if you noticed, our ratios on debt still allow us a lot of dry powder. Banks are perfectly willing to offer us credit in order to continue to execute our plan. So for all of our shareholders who worry about dilution, we have actually cash on the balance sheet, the ability to generate cash, and dry powder. So that's always a good position to be in. So if the business model and the strategy is clear and the market is embracing it, then the next thing to do is it's really good to know you have the resources to apply to it, back to our capital allocation strategy, reinforced by these numbers, okay? And then separately, that the execution leadership is there. Those are the pieces of the puzzle. And again, our numbers today really underscore our ability to do that.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, we've just got time for a last question. We've got Lee, and he's asking about the sort of possibility of having a US separate dual listing in the States to allow US investors access to the shares. Do you want to take this one there, Patrick?
Sure. And again, I mean, it's not magic. Whenever you have a company, and in this case, you call it a product, a platform company that is doing well and can embrace the moment, the idea is to open up access for shareholders and potential shareholders across jurisdictions. So a lot of our US holders have said, you know what, it's harder to get stock on AIM. Can you actually give us the opportunity to invest in the business? So fine. The nice thing about integrated capital markets is that one is always able to accommodate shareholder demand. So we've listened to our shareholders. Today's announcement indicates that we've hired a leading UK law firm, which has operated on both sides of the Atlantic, to help us navigate that. So the board is excited about where we're headed. Our shareholders should be excited about where we're headed. And even the announcement today should get people even more interested that there should be demand for our shares and the value proposition that we are underscoring.
Good. And then just some final sort of closing remarks, Patrick. I mean, for instance, maybe, the aspiration of the board, how large you'd like to get the company to. If you did $83 million last year, and I think the house broker Dowgate is penciling in $97 million, that's a 16% increase. Don't put the bar too high for Will, because he's got to get over it.
Well, but that's nothing.
Where would you like the business to get to, say, in 5 years' time?
Well, let me point out, RBC, who's also one of our brokers, has actually put the bar even a little higher.
Oh, so
for everybody, both RBC and Dowgate, their share price target mapped to their fundamentals target are both very attractive given the state of where we are. So, and I do want to underscore it is that, it's a combination of anytime you set a revenue and earnings target, there's a reflection of what that really translates into the share price as a valuation matter. So I would commend everybody to look at least those two reports. I would say in terms of the board and where we're headed, like I said before, it's always nice to have tailwinds, i.e. where's the market going under these secular conditions? Do you really have the assets in place to seize the market, which we've already discussed? And do you actually have a leadership team that can actually execute a plan that can take advantage of the moment? So if you really look at, just a grand summary of the board's aspirations, aspiration really needs to turn into reality, and every shareholder knows that, right? When are we going to do this or that? And that's okay. That actually every shareholder has the perfect, right to demand from the board, from Will, the management team, and from each other, that we're embracing a journey together. And this journey is to create a world-class platform company. So the idea of moving from aspiration to reality, we're all in the same jet stream. And the nice thing about today's announcement is that we're reinforcing that jet stream is alive and well, and that we're about to jump into the next phase of our growth. And that's a perfect opportunity for investors.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks very much for your time, gents, and thanks everyone for your questions. I would encourage people to have a look at those reports. Dowgate have got a target price of £8.50 per share versus a share price currently just south of £4, so 100% upside in comparison with their target price. I think last time I saw RBC have a target price of £8, so there's plenty of upside if the business can execute. So thanks again, guys, and thanks very much for your questions.
Much appreciated. Have a great day.
The pleasure.